Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman.
And hello, I'm the Captain, and today Rob and I are looking at two alternatives to a guitar amplifier, I suppose. Or perhaps they are guitar amplifiers, just in a non-traditional box.
Are they guitar amplifiers, Lee?
Well, they're pedals that power cabinets and make a noise. So I suppose they sort of are. They're both German. Hey! Both of these brands pretty famous. The BluGuitar from Thomas Blug and the Hughes Kettner brand, which ironically Thomas Blug used to work for.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep. So before the Blug thing. So the Blug guitar that I'm using is actually a slightly revoiced version of the original Blug amp, which you can still buy. This is called the Iridium, and this is one that's been voiced more for metal, guitar, high gain and metal stuff, which is why they asked me to do the demo. Obviously,
the kind of stuff that Thomas plays a lot of.
Well, Thomas is a bit more sort of classic rock, isn't he? But, you know, anyway, so voice for a higher gain thing. So we're going to, very, very simple to use and won't take me long to tell you how to get around this. Rob, on the other hand, has got the Hughes Kettner Black Spirit, which has a lot of other stuff in it.
It reminds me of my old Atari console with a cassette you'd put in it, and then you'd play Space Raiders.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, be good.
Anyway, so we'll go through Rob's features in a minute. So the Blug is 100 watts. So all you're hearing here is I've got a cabinet, a normal guitar cabinet, 2x12 cabinet behind me attached here. Blug do a range of compact cabinets as well, but we're just using a 2x12 behind me. The orange cable on the back here is recorded straight to our DI and has some analog speaker emulation on it, and we'll hear that in a minute. Other than that, it's really rather simple. It has a nanotube in the preamp. Nanotube is basically a very small version of like an ECC 83. It's a 2-channel amplifier, basically. I hit this button here to go from a clean sound, which sounds like this. And then I hit that and I go to one of my 3 overdrive channels, which I just have to basically adjust using the dial here. So I can have a vintage gain tone. I can have a classic rock tone. Or I can have a modern high gain.
Much low end.
In all fairness, I probably, obviously if I was going to use one of those, I'd voice each one using the EQ and the gain controls to however I wanted it to be. Reverb is built in over here, master volume up here, and there is also a built-in and adjustable boost control. There are some tiny, there's some tiny controls down the side here, which we'll show you on a separate close-up.
I don't know about you, Lee, but I love tiny controls.
Well,
don't you?
Okay, and so. So that's it. I mean, you could absolutely conceivably go and gig with this with no other pedals. What have we got on the back here? We've got an effects loop, and we have got a remote switch for controlling this via MIDI, which I'll be honest with you, I've not really investigated. But it's very small, and it comes with a little carry bag, and it's very lightweight. And it's certainly ever since these came out, have been a popular option for guitar players that just want to gig with the smallest amount of gear, but don't want to make it too complicated. There's really nothing on here that's going to confuse anybody. It's all very analog kind of feeling. I think the only non-analog bit is the reverb. Noise gate built in, which I've got set to the soft mode at the moment. There we go. What's funny about a soft mode on a noise gate? Honestly, there it is. I knew it.
Well, I've got the Hughes Kettner Black Spirit 200. I'm sure Black Spirit was a Disney movie about a horse from
possibly was.
From the 80s, which probably made me cry.
Like Black Beauty.
All of the bells this side, all of the whistles this side. I've already pre-programmed it with some of my favourite sounds on the what you see is what you get setting. So you can literally touch a clean or touch a crunch, adjust the controls, and then press store, and it will remember it. And I'll just show you some of the sounds.
You do it.
I might as well do that. Might and Tie
Yes.
would be good on this Chapman guitar. That's enough clean. Here's a crunch. Don't really like that. Ultra. Oh, by the way, I should say, with the Ultra setting, I put the noise gate kind of on.
Right.
So, for example, this Ultra, I'll drop tune. Touch my strings, Lee. See, it's almost immune to Anderton.
Oh, that was pretty squealy. Can I take you? Can I deep dive for a second and just take people through?
Deep dive.
So, specification-wise, the Hughes and Kettner is allegedly 200 watts. Now, I'm not sure. We'd have to physically wind both of these up to see which one actually goes louder.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, because that's digital, analog.
What?
Wait, that's got valves. This don't.
Well, this has got a nano valve.
Oh, a preamp valve.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. I vaguely remember when Thomas showed me the version 1. You know, like in the regular one of these. That I vaguely recall him saying something like the valve does a bit everywhere to add flavour. But
it's a preamp valve. That's not got any valves.
That's correct.
Although that's 200 watts, they could be the same volume, but probably they're not.
Well, different power modules, you know, can have different ratings and actually still drive speakers.
But that one's bigger too.
Well, this is true. So 200 watts, loads and loads of features. So 4 basic channels, a little bit like the Blue, but with the option to store presets like you would on a more conventional multi-effects unit, or have it in stompbox mode. That's what this looks like, 56, but it's actually SB for stompbox mode.
Son of a bitch!
And it's MIDI as well, so you can recall dozens and dozens of patches on here. You have got 2 what are called pre-loops on the side. That's for putting your favourite sort of pedals that you want to come before the preamp in here, and then again, depending on the patch, you can enable those loops or not. You have got quite a reasonably straightforward way of editing how you want each sound to be. So if you look along where the writing here underneath the knobs is, the words above the blue line are around sort of controlling the typical preamp sounds of your guitar amplifier, and then if you press this effects access button, the words underneath the blue line become what the knobs are. So the only thing I would say is, once you're into editing a stored sound, there's no visual representation as to where the actual setting is. So it's quite frustrating when you want to adjust a stored sound because you don't really know what the settings are in the first place.
It's literally gone from WYSIWYG to what you don't see is what you get.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's, to be honest with you, there's no menus or anything like that to kind of go through. It's pretty straightforward. I should caveat that by saying if you use the app, which only works on Android or on an iPad, doesn't work on an iPhone. If you use the app, you can see where all of the knobs, if you like, are set.
Well, you know, gigs 2050, everyone's wearing their Google glasses. That's built into the frame, and you can see the audience.
You're probably
and
right.
You can blink to change channels and stuff. You'll be like,
you've got a traditional effects loop over here, so like a post preamp effects loop, again, that you can add effects with. Headphones, which again you can kind of do. Well, actually, that's not true. Let me just. So yeah, you can have headphones and the record out here plugged in together. Whereas on the Blug, they are sort of dual purpose one. And as you can see on the back here, you've got the Hughes and Kettner Red Box, which has been one of the most popular over the years speaker emulation devices. We're going to hear that in a minute, and a ton of other things which I have to keep leaning over. So MIDI, XLR outputs. Various things to do with cab simulation, blah-de-blah. You can kind of see. Blah-de-blah is my favourite way of summing up things that I don't know about. In terms of the buttons, as Rob said, at the moment we're in Stompbox mode. So what happens is this is clean, crunch, lead and ultra. Then these three do modulation, delay and boost. On the side over here there's a switch which I can go into a standard preset mode where essentially these two are my bank up and down. This is a tap delay, and then I have 4 presets per bank. Or I can switch it to just have 7 presets that I can just recall using the 7 switches on the top.
I have a point of view. I think building the foot switch and the amplifier into one unit obviously saves money, which means that you guys don't pay as much, because you could obviously just have this foot switch on the floor and then stomp it and have the amp.
Yeah, which actually on the Black Spirit range you can do. There is a Black Spirit head and combo which you can buy if you prefer. You made a very, very valid point, which is why can't people just bring an amp to a gig and just use an amp? What's the benefit to having it on the floor? And now that's my question, I suppose, to YouTube. Do you see a direct benefit to having everything on the floor in front of you, or would you rather just have the amplifier up here? I mean, I've definitely had beer and beverage spillage and people throwing stuff onto stage. Or do I want them to throw stuff onto my amp? I don't know. Is it affordable enough that it's worth building it into one unit? I mean, I'm going back to, we'll do the record outputs in a minute, but I'm going back to and I'm sort of going, here's a sound. It sounds pretty good, but I prefer the sound of just a regular guitar amplifier. And so I suppose I'm sitting here going, so who is this for? And these aren't that dissimilar prices as you would expect. The Hughes and Kettner's a little bit more. I think this is around about the £800 mark. I'm looking for affirmation from cameraman. So I think this is about 800 and this was about 600.
I mean, I'll tell you, to me, that appeals to me in terms of you can throw that in the front of a gig bag, run to a rehearsal with your guitar in your back, plug it in, sorry I'm late guys, and you got an amp. Yeah. Fine, that makes sense. But for something that's £800, although I think it does sound kind of good, I don't think it sounds good enough that I would want to use this over a regular valve amp, small head and a couple of pedals. It's
a funny one, isn't it? Because I totally get that in our spoilt world that we live in, what would be my go-to rig would probably be a valve guitar amp that was between £1,000 and £1,500, and a pedal board that was probably the same £1,000 to £1,500 with the pedals, and I'd get a sound and I go, well, that's what I want to compare this to, and I get that. I'm not a million miles sure that I really see the portability, because I get what this is trying to do. This is like, just take one thing and it's super portable, and I get that. But is it really that much aggro to take like a little compact lunchbox head? Maybe it is.
I have a bad back. I fell down the stairs when I was like in my early 20s and put scar tissue between my vertebrae.
What you mean is that you were kicked down the stairs for being annoying. Is that what you're saying?
No, I was carrying a box downstairs moving house, and my dog ran up the stairs to greet me, and I fell over my dog from the top of the stairs and landed on the bottom step, and then I've got bad back. So the reason my Victory RD1 is so small, and I love small amps, is because I can carry it. It's never going to put my back out on tour, and I haven't got to get my tech to carry my stuff all day long. So I use little tiny lunchbox amp, a mono bag with 3 pedals in it, and then I just hook it up, and then I'm good to go.
So where's the? Everyone's like, oh look how portable my little pedal is, But it's like, haven't you still got to plug it into the same size cab? Hasn't that always been the big bit?
I suppose this but because you don't gig,
Yeah.
you might not be thinking, well, venues normally would supply a cab, or a rehearsal room would supply a cab. If you just want a guitar bag, that makes sense to me. But when you step it up to an £800 unit, it doesn't make sense to me.
But not all venues have got backline in them, have they? I mean, like certainly if you go to the boiler room, or whatever, there's no backline in there. You've got to bring your own backline. Rehearsal studios.
I mean, like circuit tour venues.
Okay.
I normally would ask. I mean, I sometimes bring my own cab.
Yeah.
I have people carry them, but you can have backline at venues. I play gigs where they've gone, do you want a Marshall or do you want an Orange? And I've always gone Orange.
Well, look, let's dive on over to the record outputs, because that's a feature that isn't typical on a regular guitar amplifier, is the ability to just grab a cable and go straight into the PA. That's where you're entering into more of like the Kemper kind of territory, isn't it?
Sure.
So we'll unplug our speaker cabinets, and now Rob and we're hearing ourselves through some little speakers in the room, and you're hearing us straight into the DI. We're not using any other cabinet emulation other than what comes built in. In fairness to the Hughes and Kettner's got quite a lot, and the red box is quite well known. The Blug, in fairness to Thomas Blug, he's basically saying, look, there is some analog speaker simulation in here, but it's dead easy to switch it off if you want to use something, better, like a 2 notes or a, whatever your favorite cab emulation stuff is. But as I said, we're just using
cab clone
as it comes. Which, to be fair, there is a new one.
There is a new one coming out.
Maybe it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to review.
Maybe we should try it.
Do we get somebody in to help you out with that?
Yeah, we should do
the video.
I don't know.
I'm going to choose a cab from this app. Let's start from the beginning.
I wonder if people can. They probably can't. Probably can't see what you're doing. I'm just going to put this here so that you can see what Rob's doing on the.
A vintage open back. That's. 2 412s. 2 open. Nice.
No. I like the fact we've got a Britain cab, not British. We've just got a Britain.
Sounds awful too. That's cool.
There we go. So
it's a fun experience.
You know what it is? And again, I actually think I prefer the Blug over the Hughes and Kettner, but whatever. This is, I don't find this a particularly inspiring experience playing this, but I suppose I've got to look at this and go, if I was doing the kind of gigs where actually the most important for me is just get in, get out as quick as possible, take the least amount of gear, get something that's going to be reliable and
sounds like you're a hitman.
Yeah,
get out the least amount of gear.
Yeah, but here we go. So this is the emulated output from the Blug. Here we go for some modern metal, of course. Actually, do you know what? I haven't really gunned the gain, so let's... Here we go. The EQ on this is really reactive, like way more reactive than I'm sort of used to on a normal guitar amplifier. if anybody's thinking, you know, is it the guitar? I don't know. This is a Seymour Duncan loaded, 59 in the neck, hybrid custom in the bridge.
Lee, when you say, is anybody thinking, is it the guitar?
Or is it the player?
What you're inferring is that you're not happy with your sound.
Well, no, I suppose that is what I'm
I'll
inferring.
go out on a limb and say that I from me personally and my tastes, and I will also say that I do like some of the Hughes and Kettner amps, and I haven't really heard any other Blug products, but I don't really like them.
Yeah, and I think that's what it all boils down to. I'll go back to a comment I made earlier on, which is that if you're shopping for the best sounding guitar rig that you can possibly buy, I'm not entirely sure either of these are going to be what's, you know, your final purchase. But if the idea is to go, no, I absolutely want the smallest, simplest, most affordable kind of rig that I can, as you said with this one, you know, put in the pocket of my gig bag potentially. Yeah. I mean, the Black Spirit, there's a bit of me that goes, I think you've got to be it's very much aimed at the metal market. If you go on the Hughes and Kettner website and you watch some of the guitar players using this in their demos, and they're playing much, much heavier stuff than Rob and I will play, they get some great sounds. And both of these have been popular products. So there's a bit of me going, I'm not sure that this is really aimed at someone like Rob, and it's certainly not aimed at someone like me.
I do play in a progressive hard rock / metal band. And again, I would make other choices over this.
Yeah.
But my point comes down to, I mean, it's got a lot built in it. And I think Hughes and Kettner makes some really good amps. I think if they'd simplified it and it was just an amp, you know, with less bells and whistles, I think it could have been...
It's just not what Hughes and Kettner have been doing recently, is it? Everything coming out of Hughes and Kettner is always... function. You know, it's like, you know, look at the Triamp and all those kind of things.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I think that's their angle, isn't it? Tons and tons.
And
of
at least, I mean, Hughes and Kettner are known for being sturdy and sort of reliable and all that kind of thing.
Well, so I can tell you, I mean, I don't think we've ever had a Blug product come back faulty. You know, I think this is testament to that German kind of thing. You know, it's just like they know how to make sturdy stuff.